sentiment was for the game. So you're going to do that tonight. And then you can have, I'll give you copies of my slides or all my data. You guys can see it.
I'll take one to I want to test my luck and see what I can do.
Your dad was?
I've already done a lot by
Yep.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. It is 7 o'clock, and I will call our meeting to order. I will start with roll call. Councilmember Navarrete.
Here.
Councilmember Aguilar. Here. Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Byrd.
Here.
Vice Mayor Alonso.
Here.
And myself. We are all present. Please let the record show that Councilmember Tomerlin is excused tonight. He's attending a wedding in Texas. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation, which will be given by Manuel Guzman from Rebuild Superior. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We ask God for a blessing on our leadership, give us wisdom on our community, the safety of our residents and our visitors, and that we always seek the common good. Amen.
Thank you very much, Manuel Guzman from Rebuild Superior. We appreciate you. Oh, and Rotary. He's the new president of Rotary. Okay, we're going to move on to agenda number 5, special presentations. And we have a presentation by County Attorney Brad Miller. You take the podium.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Hopefully you all can hear me. I really do appreciate it, and of course members of the council. So I'm Brad Miller, I'm your county attorney. For those who don't know, the county attorney is your prosecutor, your district attorney in other states. That's what we're called. But really, thank you so much, Mayor and members of this council for this opportunity today. I really do appreciate your leadership in this town. I think your reputation and the things that this town is doing is going out to, I think, the rest of Pinal County. But really, I'm here today to talk about public safety. And really, public safety is a team sport. It is a joint effort. And so what we wanted to do today is to present some data, but what you probably don't know is last week, myself and members of our team actually went out into your community. We knocked on about 110 doors to get a sense of how the community feels regarding public safety. And really, it's not for the purpose of judging you. In fact, it's the purpose of judging my office. So I went around, most people don't know who I am or what we do, but we want to see how we're doing, how your community feels. And so we actually gave them a survey, and I want to give you the results of that here today. But the biggest thing we wanted to highlight was not only how the community feels, but whether the data matches that feeling in the community. And I think what's interesting with this community is it does pretty well. We're going to talk about that. So the residents told us that their top concern at 45% was drug issues. And I think that was reiterated tonight. Followed by general crime and safety at about 25%. This clear signal sends and tells me that families in Superior want us to focus on the root causes of crime, especially the flow of drugs that can impact neighborhoods, schools, families. And of course, we are already prioritizing these cases and are ready to work even more closely with your police department and of course the sheriff's department to keep the streets of Superior safe. On the positive side, because we want to talk about that also, is that 65% of the respondents felt very safe in your community in the town of Superior. And 25% expressed just some level of concern. Our goal, of course, is to raise that number, or more people feel safe, but that is a pretty substantial number. Now, on immigration-related issues, we want to talk about this. I know it's a political football right now, but I think it's important that we address some of these difficult issues. 80% of the Superior residents that we spoke to indicated that immigration-related issues are important to them. At the same time, a strong 70% say they supported expanding resources for the county attorney's office to keep our community safe. And I think the immigration-related issues are related to the issues of drug trafficking, fentanyl trafficking, and how drugs actually get into our community. Now, residents also preferred an enforcement-first approach. 60% preferred a tougher on prosecution stance versus a soft on crime approach or a diversion-first approach. And then the survey also showed that 45% had some trust in leadership and focuses on transparency. Now, I want to get to the final portion before we get into the actual data. I believe, based upon the survey results, that the Superior residents gave us really a clear roadmap of what they wanted from the council, from myself, and I think from the police department and from everybody in our community, and that's to focus on the issues of drugs, enforce the law, and give offices the resources needed to protect their families. And of course, I'm here to partner with you to ensure that is done. So let's follow up, and I would like to follow up to see how potential and other programs are working. And we would like to work closely with your police chief in order to do that. So let's get into the data. So what we did is I wanted to see if there are any trends, if we could identify anything, if there were potential patterns. And what we found was that the community is doing fantastic. There's actually a 50% drop in crime over the past 3 years. And you're going to see that here in the data. (2025), we had, and these are, I was talking to the police chief before this meeting, and he has some data on incidents, calls, other things like that. I want to talk, this data is just related to prosecutions that my office handled. So last year in 2025, there were 27 felony prosecutions, 36 misdemeanor prosecutions. And what I tried to do when I came into office at the beginning of 2025 is really to prioritize the main things. Because I believe a lot of the crime is concentrated in the top 5%, related to violent crime, repeat offenders, drug offenders, and crimes against children. That's why in 2025, my office established its first special victims unit to focus directly on prosecuting crimes against children. And we really want to prioritize those violent criminals, because I believe if we can focus on those and those repeat offenders, then your numbers are going to continue to drop. And I think that's what we've seen in 2025 compared to 2024. 2025, the crime profile was really related to violent offenses, public order violations, but also drug offenses. In 2025, there were actually 8 aggravated assault prosecutions, dangerous drug prosecutions, marijuana, and drug paraphernalia. Now, if you can see at this map, we can actually get down to the street level. We find most of the crime actually is right along that frontage road, along the 60, and also along Main Street, which shouldn't be a shock because that's where most people are. And of course, that's where a lot of the businesses are. In addition, we saw DUIs, aggravated DUIs, suspended license violations, excessive speed. But really, the concentration of crime is on those violent offenses. Now, I want to go to 2024, because this is going to show you a really stark difference. And if you remember, there were 66 cases, 27 felonies in 2025. So let's go to 2024. And and any member of the public, if you want access to these slides, we'll have them for you. You can download them and you can actually see what's going on in your community down to the street level. So let's go to 2024. Here, I'm sure you can see there are a lot more dots on this screen. There were a total of 96 cases in 2024. And here's the breakdown. 44 felonies, 47 misdemeanors. But here's what the crime profile shows, is a broad mix of violent, drug-related, property, and public order offenses. Some aggravated assaults, dangerous drug cases. They were much more dispersed, not focused on necessarily on those violent issues. 2024 also showed these types of crimes, violent crime, drug activity, property crime, and of course some traffic-related offenses. Major offense themes, again, a mixed severity. As I told you, in my office, and we started in 2025, we want to focus really on the violent crime. Now here's where it gets really, really interesting. I want to compare it to 2023. And here's where I think this town should be very proud. Proud of your police chief, proud of the police department, and proud of what you and this town council is doing. Because I want to show you 2023. Give you a second to look at that. 2023, 134 cases. So think about that, a 50% drop in 3 years. And I think that's due to a number of things. Sometimes it's hard to tell in the data specifically why. I think if we had more data points and maybe more time, some better analytics, maybe we can get down to those things. But I think in the end, this deals with focusing on those violent criminals. What we've found, I've been a prosecutor 18 years, both on the civilian side and in the Marine Corps. I think what we find is that 5% of people tend to commit most of the crime. You see repeat, repeat, repeat. I know a lot of us have seen repeat offenders on the news, not necessarily here in Arizona, but other states where a person has been let out of prison 13, 14 times for felonies and committing violent crimes. Well, that's something that we do not do here in Pinal County. We do take a tough stance, especially on repeat offenders, especially on violent repeat offenders, where we throw them in prison and keep them away from you. That's something that we focus on. And I think the reason why we're seeing such a stark drop in that is because we're focusing on those, spending our resources and our time on those to eliminate those repeat offenders, violent offenders, and drug offenders. So here's the mix, 63 felonies, 63 misdemeanors. And you can see the crime is all over. High volume, broad category baseline. One of the other things that we focus on in 2025 is to make sure that those violent or repeat offenders aren't just getting slaps on the wrist. They're serving real time. And that goes for those folks who are even involved in drug crimes. Another thing that we focused on in 2025 is really focusing on sting operations. I know we've had multiple sting operations related to crimes against children in our community, and we really prioritize them. In 2025 alone, I think we ran 4 or 5 sting operations. In each of those operations, we took an average about 8 to 12 people attempting to traffic children out of our community. So think about that. Even if we got rid of 30 to 40 individuals, I think that's a huge win for our community. It's something that we're going to continue to focus on. I will say for the town of Superior, we don't see those types of issues. It's really related to drugs. All right, let's get back on track here on the slides. So here's really kind of the conclusion here. 2023 sets the baseline for Superior's 3-year trend. High volume, wide category diversity, substantial drugs, public disorder, violent offenses, and of course this includes multiple serious felonies, disorderly conduct enforcement, and notable presence of sexual and family-related crimes. As you can see, we didn't have those in 2025 because those people have been taken out of the community. And of course, you'll have access to these slides. Here's our 3-year trend from 134 to 96 to 66. And here's where I'd like to say to Chief, thank you very much for all the hard work that you're doing. I think you should be very, very proud of what is happening in this community, but I think we want to continue to work to make these numbers and drive these numbers even less. But there's a lot of good things happening in this town. Like I said, I knocked on, myself and my team knocked on about 110 doors. And what we found is people love living here. People love the community. People love the small knit nature of it. But of course, they still do have concerns. Drug abuse, issues of drug trafficking. And that's something I think we continue to work on in this community. But I think it's because you have a small town and people care about this community. I even saw a lot of rebuilds, remodels. So that's good, injecting new lifeblood into the town. I hope that these numbers will continue to push down. And I hope that we can continue to make Superior one of the safest towns in all of the county. And with that, I invite any questions.
Thank you very much for the data and all the information. I'm going to go to council first and see if anybody on council has any questions or comments on this.
No, thank you for the information. I don't know if the survey results itself were in the presentation.
They
but
were
I'd love
not.
to
I can-
see- I'd love to
Yeah,
see
I
that.
can do, so we did it anonymously, we didn't ask people's names,
Yeah.
but I have a whole printout of what, we asked just 5 questions, and I can provide that data in the email,
Yeah.
and so it can get out to the members of the community too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions or comments?
Can you tell us, of those cases, how many cases were submitted but maybe weren't prosecuted? Because I know in a small town, a lot of times we see that there's crimes that happen, and again, like you said, repeat offenders get out and nothing gets done with them, and so we'd like to kind of see that number too of how many cases are going through that maybe get dropped or dismissed, and is there a reason why? Is it something in the police department and the lack of reporting or investigation that we can change or do something better to make sure that these cases are all prosecuted?
Yeah, council member,
Or
sorry, I can't see your name. Yeah, to answer your question, we do have that data. I don't have that here in this presentation, but we can get that. But I will say, it's just like my organization, we're certainly not above reproach, and so is your police department, but we will get that information to figure out exactly why cases are being turned down. So the way we look at cases is we have really 3 categories. Cases we accept and we prosecute it. Then we have cases that we further, which that means that the police department submitted a case to us and we need more information, or something reinvestigated, looked at, or we have a question about. So that's a further. Then we have a 3rd category where we call it a turn down. We don't accept it at all. And there's various reasons for each, cases in each one of those categories. But we absolutely can get you that data. Would you like that going back to 2023? Would you like last year's?
I think last year would just be
Okay.
fine, and information, especially for our officers too, because I know if it were me, arresting these criminals and my case got dropped, I'd be frustrated to not know why
Yeah.
and what I could have done different.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, we can get that for you.
Anyone else on council?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. So kind of piggybacking on what Councilmember Byrd was saying, you say for 2025, 66 cases, I think, or it's actually 65 if we add them up, 65 cases. Those were 27 felonies, misdemeanors, 36 misdemeanors, and 2 petty and juvenile. Of those, the violent crimes, what's the timeline? What's the conviction term that these people are, like, you say we want to put them away, and putting them away for a long time for violent crimes, is that 1 to 2 years, 2 to 5? That'd be something good to see, like if these violent crimes do get prosecuted and we do make an arrest and they do go to prison, how long are they there for?
All right, so I don't have that data in the presentation, but what I can tell you are the types that we prosecuted in 2025, and I'll give you a list. But as far as the dispositions,
Yeah, that's,
I think that's probably what you're looking for.
yeah, because I think you have it in slide 30.
So we had, I mentioned the aggravated assaults. We have felony disorderly conduct. In order to get something like that, typically it involves a weapon. We had and I can list you the felonies here: aggravated assault, possession or use of marijuana. Typically that involves either a high amount or trafficking. Unlawful flight from a law enforcement vehicle, which can be a very dangerous situation. That's a class 5 felony. Criminal damage felony, again, that typically involves high dollar amounts of criminal damage. Multiple disorderly conducts, a stalking case, a felony for unlawful use of means of transportation, which is car, vehicle burglary or vehicle theft. Misconduct involving weapons, which is a crime where you typically have a felon who should not own a gun, who is in possession of a gun. So you'll see that. And then, of course, there is a kidnapping case.
Sure. And I guess my question is, when we prosecute and biggest sentence, how long are they, what's the average sentence on those? But we don't have to answer that tonight. The other question I had was, I'm looking at your heat maps of where the red dots are, and it seems like a lot of them are identical year over year. Is there a way to color code these to where we know where the different ones as far as violent crimes, drug activity, property crime, those can be categorized and broken down where they're just parsed just a little bit differently to understand? Because I actually printed this out and I held them up in a screen to see, because they look identical.
Yep.
And it seems like they are, other than the heavy year. We just threw some dots in there, so I'm wondering, are the ones basically going outside of town, is that RPD or is that some other agency is that where the traffic stops happen, or it just looks like they're completely identical from year to year?
Yeah, so we can color code them to identify them. And our data analysts that put this data together actually did a comparison each year through our own system of cases we actually prosecuted. So you might see some dots that are very, very close. Obviously the dots are very large, so it could be in that general area. But yes, we can get you that information. And then to address your other question regarding sentence, obviously a sentence is going to determine based upon multiple different factors. You know, whether somebody's a repeat offender once, twice, 3 times, that can change the category of what a sentencing scheme can be. It could also change depending on, like I said, prior convictions, the type of conviction. And then, of course, in Arizona law, some cases are probation eligible, where oftentimes our Superior Court judges will give them probation and not necessarily send them to prison. So there are a whole host of factors, but we can potentially get you the dispositions of those cases. Yeah.
I would like to see more of how many of these are juvenile, and because I know they're going to be repeat offenders. I mean, so that's something to be aware too. That, you know.
Yeah, we can look at that. As you can see, there's very, very small amount of juvenile crime. There were, 5 in 2024, 8 in 2023, and only a couple of last year. So very, very small amount. But yeah, we can look at those. Regarding the juvenile crimes, I can tell you the type of crime. I think one of them was, in fact, just a runaway. So like in 2025, yeah, one was a runaway, and the other, I think, was an assault. An assault case. But yeah, we can get you that information.
Cool, this was great. Thanks for coming up and presenting to us and providing all this data to us.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think it's very important. I know, Ms. Backey, you raised your hand and I'll oblige you. One question from the public. I don't know if your questions have been answered. We don't normally do that.
It has been answered.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So Mayor, I did want to make one quick comment. If the council remembers, in about 4 years ago, a little under 4 years ago, when we hired Chief Chavez, there was a worrying trend in the community toward youth gangs and some increased activity, and we tasked the chief to begin addressing that issue. He did tell us that the crime rate would go up significantly the first few years when they were addressing this, and then it would begin to go back down again. And it fell to Chief Manuel to complete that work because Chief Chavez was not with us long, but it has proven that that trajectory does in fact work.
Well, I think this was very important information and we appreciate hearing it. I think it's great to kind of understand from where our police department starts and where justice prevails at the county courthouse and how this works. So really appreciate the data and information. I look forward to the further data points that council's asked for. And continuing all of this forward. So thank you for coming out. You're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of our meeting. We have some historic things happening on our agenda that you might enjoy being part of tonight. So
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you very much. All right, everyone, as you know, we have a very lengthy agenda tonight, so we're going to move to our staff reports. What a month it's been since our last council meeting. which was March 12th. In that time, Resolution Copper received their record of decision and their land exchange. Our land exchange progressed significantly, so we'll be making that purchase. You may have heard in the budget announcement, and I can say that our workload has tripled, not just for town hall staff and myself and council, but for all of our friends at Resolution, and that is a major milestone. As you know, this council has negotiated, mitigated, and really studied what is the most complex environmental impact statement ever processed under NEPA. So I think every resident in Superior should really be proud of what we've done, because that was a monolithic lift, and now we're moving on to the next phase, which is both exciting, exhilarating, and some nights kind of scary when you think of all the work that we have to do. And tonight's agenda is full of a lot of things. We've got some really great progress news today that I want to share with everyone, and that is the USDA finally approved phase 2 and phase 3 of our construction on the multi-gen. So we can finally build out our elevator and the main building space and start moving town hall over to that. That's going to give us more room to start fundraising and getting the library fixed and the senior center fixed, but we are now officially moving a lot faster, and I appreciate those that sat through the budget, because the budget's not looking great, but we have a lot of good things that are happening that are budgeted for, and we can continue our progress. And I feel like there's 1,000 other things that have happened this month, and I just, on a personal note, want to thank everybody who's been there for us after James's accident. That's been kind of scary and quite a lot of extra time and effort there from us. So thank you all. And Todd, do you have anything else to add to staff reports?
Mayor, you've covered most of it. I just wanted to reiterate to anyone who didn't hear that the pipeline has been delayed another 3 months as the Army Corps is delaying our NEPA review. So the pipeline to restore water to Queen Creek, it will start most likely in June, July.
Well, that's, at least we have another new deadline and a timeline, and that's appreciated. I know the Vice Mayor and I were in Washington, D.C. last month at the National League of Cities Conference. We also met with Army Corps of Engineers, and they all kind of gave us the look of, oh yeah, we're working on that. So we met with our congressional delegation. I can say it was probably the most memorable NLC that we've attended in recent history. So we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Approval of minutes of town council meeting on March 12, 2026. Approval of minutes of special town council meeting on March 12, 2026. Approval of FY 2027 school safety program cooperative agreement. Approval of contract amendment number 1 between the town of Superior and the Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation and Reentry, ADCRR, concerning inmate labor rates. Approval of Town of Superior alcohol permit for Cesar Villalobos for a funeral luncheon located at the Magna Club on Friday, April 3rd, 2026 from 12 noon to 10 p.m. Approval of Town of Superior alcohol permit for Victoria Rabago for a birthday party located at US 60 Park on Saturday, April 4th, 2026 from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Approval of Town of Superior alcohol permit for Tony Martinez Jr. for a graduation party at the Magna Club on Saturday, May 16th, 2026 from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. Approval of Town of Superior alcohol permit for Rebuild Superior for a pre-pitch mixer located at the Magna Club on Monday, May 8th, 2026 from 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Approval of Town of Superior alcohol permit for Edwin and Bridget Piñata for a graduation party located at Besage Park on Saturday, May 23rd, 2026 from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. Approval of Town of Superior alcohol permit for Catherine Summers for graduation party located at the Magna Club on Saturday, June 6, 2026 from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. Approval of Town of Superior alcohol permit for Andrea Bogenschutz for a graduation party located at the Magna Club on Saturday, June 20th, 2026 from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. and approval of our department reports. Does anyone have, there's a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do we have a second? Second by Vice Mayor Alonso. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to move on to new business. All right, everyone. Agenda item A, the agreement we've been waiting for. Discussion possible approval of amended and restated water commitments agreement with Resolution Copper Mining. Staff recommends approval of this agreement. Discussion, this agreement refines previous agreements to clarify how the agreed upon mitigations for water will be implemented. It provides for water and infrastructure to secure an alternate designation using sustainable water sources, assuring water security and reasonable growth for generations to come. Restoration water for Queen Creek from a variety of sources to restore the natural base flow to the creek, and a $5 million endowment to fund a watershed manager and provide matching funds for future restoration projects in our local watershed. Fiscal impact. This agreement provides for funding for design and construction of the necessary infrastructure to support these projects from Resolution Copper. Before we go on to approval, I kind of want to share with everybody a little bit here, oblige me a few minutes. When we were going through the emergency or the environmental impact statement for resolution, and remember we have this community working group where everyone from the region comes together and we kind of all broke bread monthly. We talked about serious issues, we talked about problems, potential mitigations, and there was one meeting where the Forest Service came and told us a really great update. They told us all about how the tailings were not going to be anywhere near Superior. And everybody was cheering and they were so happy, and nobody heard the rest of the story. That the water issue, there were some issues because we had significant fissures in Queen Creek. And there were significant other things happening on the forest that affects our watershed. Now, when we talk about water, you have to remember our water also comes from where there's also great growth happening. So that's a whole other conversation for the future. But our town manager caught that very quickly. And he started reading through on the study and he started going through the process. And we found out, oh, there's all these meetings about water, and there was an assumption that Superior couldn't hold our own water at the table in these meetings. And not only were we offended and greatly upset, we made our way to a seat at that table. And we did, and we were able to advocate for ourselves. These were things in this environmental impact statement that any other town may have overlooked and may have missed. All of us on this council are people that are from Superior, multiple generations. Water is serious. Water is important. Water is our life. We don't deny that. And everybody on this council worked very hard. And there were people that tried to come in and, oh, don't worry about that. But we did worry about it. And we worked with our partners at Rio Tinto, and sometimes, like I said, this is an arranged marriage. There were lots of times that we needed a lot of marriage counseling to get through this because there's a lot of complications in water. And tonight I really want everybody to understand how much we need to appreciate Todd Pryor. Because to understand the science, and let me tell you, when we found out about the fissures in the creek, Todd did tabletop math. And Curtis, you weren't there. There was a friend of ours. He's a good friend of ours. And we said, Todd was like, hey, you guys owe us 500 acre-feet of water a year. That's what I figure has been leaking into the creek, and you guys have been giving to Queen Creek on this complicated agreement. And they were like, oh, no, it can't be that much water. It can't. And so we had a big negotiation. There were a lot of feelings. Councilmember Navarrete was there. I don't think she'll forget that meeting ever. And we all kind of said, okay, we'll fix it. Either fix it or no deal. Everybody went back to the table, calmer heads prevailed, and we did another study. And it took 2 years to study drought conditions, other water stories, like other creeks that are similar to ours, that have similar impacts from mining and all these things. And we did this study, Resolution paid for it. We did all this great vetting on making sure that these people had never worked for Resolution. And on one summer day, we got the note that in fact the company had borrowed 487 feet of water. 471. So Todd was off by just a few, but we did the hard work, and the company did the hard work, and our council did the hard work. Because I can go out and negotiate, but that doesn't mean anything unless I have a council that supports us doing this hard work and building these relationships. And a contract is only as good as the relationships we maintain. And so with that, council, I'm going to ask you if you have any questions for staff before we proceed. I hear no questions from council. Mr. Seppala? Mr. Thomas, would you like to say anything? It's been a kind of a celebratory month for you. You're welcome to take the podium.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and public. Thank you for the chance to speak tonight quickly on this groundbreaking water agreement. As you mentioned, Mayor, it's really a true testament of what we've done over the last 6-7 years around water and the future of it. We've had meaningful engagement, two-way dialogue, and a co-design process that has really gotten us to where we are today. And it wasn't always easy, like you said, Mayor. We had hard questions and most of the time even harder answers to those questions. And we can't thank the town and staff for really holding us to those commitments and making sure that we were at the right table at the right time. And again, this agreement really, it not only sets the stage for the life of mine engagement that we really, aim to have with this community, but it gives us a sense of optimism for that water security for this town, and then for the economic development for the life of the mine. So again, thank you for everybody who had a hand in this, from Todd, council, resolution employees, members of the community working group. It was a team effort. It took a long time, but tonight is a night we can say we did it.
Yes.
And it's still a lot of work ahead of us, but this is a good step. So thank you.
This is where the real work begins. Lots of construction and even more meetings. With that, council, do we have a motion to approve this historic agreement?
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilmember Byrd. There's a second by Councilmember Aguilar. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, everyone. All right, we're going to keep moving because this agenda is ginormous tonight. Next agenda item, discussion and possible approval of letter of intent with AES to enter into a lease option agreement for a battery storage facility. Discussion, this letter states the intent to enter into an agreement for a 5-year option period to develop a battery storage facility on town-owned land. Once the title is transferred during this period, AES would complete its due diligence before entering into a long-term lease agreement. AES responded to an RFQ released by the town earlier this year. The fiscal impact, the option payments start at $29,179 per year and is $75,000 for the eventual lease. A benefit study has been commissioned by the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, GPEC, and will be completed prior to council review for the full agreement. And so just so everybody understands, battery energy storage is very, very important. This is not solar panels, this is not a data center. But Arizona's grid has got to become more robust. And our new land exchange lands, there is actually land that will be perfect for this. It's close to the SRP substation. And so with that, council, do you have any additional questions or comments on this? Hearing none, does anyone from,
I'm sorry, I have a question. I'm not too familiar with this, so how does the town benefit from this?
So there will be a full study of this again before the council signs a full agreement. So all numbers I'm presenting here are preliminary. Rough estimate of property tax would be $150,000 a year. The lease starts at $75,000 and goes up at CPI. The construction would be $1 to $2 million rough estimate during the construction period, and that would provide $250,000 a year plus a $2 million payment at the start to help us shore up our revenue shortfalls.
okay, this additional property tax revenue long-term.
This also sets a baseline activity. Our agreement with Resolution Copper requires us to develop the property proactively, and by having a major highest and best use come to our facility, we are following the terms of that agreement that will allow us to get loan forgiveness. So if we develop the property, we do not have to pay any money back to Resolution.
How does this impact access to the desert and the hunters and everyone who uses our weekends?
This should not affect access at all. The property itself isn't the main road that you're used to for Silver
No, I
King.
see it on the map. It's
Yeah.
just, it seems like every time we agree to one of these, there's barricades that start going up and no access to this road all of a sudden and no access to that road. So
They're
that's
gonna be,
why it's-
the Silver King itself crosses, that's going to be Resolution's main access point. That intersection there is going to need massive upgrades to take the new traffic that are going to be there. So it's gonna be a major thoroughfare. The road that goes through, that everyone drives to go to Silver King, goes around the area they're proposing to build on. The total feasibility area they're studying for drainage and everything else is larger than that. The actual construction area is the ridge top itself. So, and not even as far out as the road. So the existing road will not be affected in any way. They're gonna be building a new road to access it directly across the land we're transferring. Nobody wants to build a new road on forestry land.
Any other questions from council? We do have Kelly Bucara from ADS and Ben Blink, one of their representatives. If anybody has any questions for them, they're happy to join us at the podium, or if you have anything to add to our discussions.
Thank you for having us here tonight. I just want to say that we are so excited to be a good partner and a good tenant to Superior and to the Superior community. And we look forward to hosting the community at future meetings to describe more about the details of the project and future construction and work with you to develop a good site.
Any other questions or comments?
This is just a preliminary 5-year
Yes, Lisa.
lease option to see if it's even feasible for you guys to move forward, correct?
That is correct. So the 5 years will give us time to survey the site. It'll give us time to reach out to the utilities to see if they want to procure the use of the battery storage, and then go through interconnection and interconnection construction.
So at that 5-year mark, let's say if inflation occurs and rent's a little higher, is that number going to change, or are we going to stick to this number?
The number is based on the federal appraisal. The final lease option has not been negotiated yet. This is just a non-binding letter of intent to develop that lease. So we'll be coming back to council with the final lease. There are CPI increases built into all of the escalators in this contract. So whether or not the lease starts at 5 years or is inflated from there, or if at that point we reappraise or something like that, those are items that would have to be discussed in the final contract.
All right. With that, do we have a motion to approve? There's a motion by Councilmember Navarrete. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Byrd. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'm going to go on to agenda item C, discussion, possible approval of resolution number 2026-701, a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Superior, resolution authorizing officers, agents to open deposit, transfer, and withdraw monies with Gateway Bank for the town of Superior banking accounts. And this discussion, this will open a deposit account with Gateway Bank to better facilitate its use for reimbursement grants. The current procedure requires frequent large wire transfers, which is a security risk. I know Todd explained this to council on the budget committee hearing. Does anybody have any further questions on this? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? Motion. There's a motion by Councilmember Lant. Do we have a second? Second by Vice Mayor Alonso. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to go on to discussion, possible approval, resolution number 2026-702, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Superior, Arizona, adopting a fair housing policy, making known its commitment to principle of fair housing and describing actions it shall undertake to affirmatively further fair housing. This is a housekeeping item that we're required to do every year. Council, do we have a motion to approve? There's a motion by Councilmember Aguilar. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Byrd. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to approval of agreement between the Superior Police Department and Lexipool for policy manual. And I want to thank staff. Chief, I want to thank you for moving so quickly after our work session on giving us these options and finding us the best option for Superior. This agreement would provide for a completely new policy manual with extensive support for migration, robust department training, and regular updates of the policy. This timeline of 3 months for migration is the most in line with the council's direction. Lexipool is the Sourcewell Cooperative Rate Agreement for Procurement Compliance. This will cost $15,764.25 for the first year and $7,525 thereafter. It is already reflected in our draft budget. Council, do you have any questions or comments for the chief on this? Okay.
Thank you for taking the time to do the research, bring it back to us.
All right. Hearing no further questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve?
So,
Motion by Councilmember Byrd. Do we have a second?
second.
Second by Councilmember Navarrete. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And I believe item F, we were thinking we would do an executive. Am I correct, Mr. Cooper?
Mayor, council members, it would be the council's prerogative. You can do either one, but we basically prepared the agenda so that you could basically address the issue in public or with legal advice.
Okay. Council, what's your pleasure on this?
I'd like to discuss with legal advice and executive.
Okay. We're going to have a motion to pursue this. What we'll do is we'll come back to this agenda item and complete the agenda and then go into executive session. So do I have one more agenda item here? Okay. This is also a public hearing for everyone, so after I read this, we'll do questions from council and the public hearing. Public hearing discussion, possible approval of ordinance number 2026-203, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Superior, Pinal County, Arizona, amending ordinance 17-140, zoning ordinance by adopting amendments article, what is that, 6? Manufactured home overlay district sections 11.1 through 11.5. Recommendation. Staff is requesting policy direction from the council. Discussion. Ordinance number 2026-203 would allow the installation of park models in the manufactured overlay district. The ordinance adopts design review standards to verify that the units will materially conform to the nature of the neighborhood. Most pre-constructed models marketed as tiny homes fit into this category. The town has received many requests to install these sorts of structures, but currently there is no mechanism for approving them. Staff is requesting the council to provide guidance concerning these requests, either affirming the current code or adopting a code section. Apache Junction has adopted a code standard, as have other northern Arizona communities. So, Council, Todd, do you want to give everyone just a quick overlay update on this?
Sure. We're receiving, as I mentioned in the briefing, a ton of requests for people who are buying the park models because they're much more affordable than a full-size mobile home, and they're looking to install them in town. On several occasions, they purchased them prior to checking for a zoning clearance. So we're left with just a flat denial at this point. There's nothing we can do to approve them. They can put them in a RV park, and that is it. So some northern communities, Apache Junction, are adopting these. It's something that, because people are aware of that, they're coming to us with an expectation that we should do the same. And our town code has no minimum size in code for a building. So you can put a tiny home on this lot. You could put a 400 square foot. You just can't put a tiny home park model. So we're just requesting. The planning and zoning was very split on this. It passed by a very narrow margin. So again, this is not a clear-cut issue, but because we're left with a gray area with our planning and zoning people trying to review these and be fair to the public, we want direction from the council, whether it's just a hard no or whether you want us to allow these to happen.
Council, would you like to, I'll open it to the floor of the public first, and then we'll do any council comments on that so we can hear from the public. So I'm opening, Mrs. Backey, you do need to come to the podium, please.
That's no problem. I have just one comment, and I hope I'm not going to offend anybody because that's not what I intend to do. But I'm hoping when they say a park model, it is a park model, and we're not gonna see storage containers put in and then decorated or left unkept and ugly where they rust on the plot and it just becomes a trash hole. Because I'm sorry, but I feel very strongly that we've got enough trash here, we don't need to add to it. And I really, really hope that we'll stay with park models. There's nothing wrong with the park model mobile home, there's nothing wrong with a mobile home, I just don't want it to go on to containers and
So
things
the
like
creative
that. There you go.
container
Thank
homes,
you.
creative
Thank you.
container
Thank you.
homes, yes.
Thank you.
They're very trendy right now.
Yes, thank you.
Again, we're getting a lot of, because the high cost of the housing market, we're getting a lot of requests for very alternative construction. You know, buildings that they bought on the internet, on Amazon, and they're made in China and have no certification whatsoever. Container homes, we're getting everything up the gamut. The park models are professionally constructed. There is a design review requirement. You have to submit your building. It has to pass the design review criteria. It requires a little bit more finish than it does for a mobile home. You have to have an awning. You have to have a porch on it. It has to be skirted so you can't see any wheels or anything. The zoning administrator, James Garner from Wildan, he's our contract zoning administrator, put a lot of work into trying to address these very issues.
Anyone else from the public wishing Mr. Gutierrez? I'm going to remind you there's a 3-minute limit on it. You can smile at me. Yes, the vice mayor is your timekeeper.
Okay, do not do this. Do not pass this ordinance, this request. 400 square foot models, not big enough. One person, maybe two. Developers are gonna come in and backload into these lots that are mixed use on the overlay. My assumption is the planning and zoning committee didn't have a complete understanding of what that overlay looks like. Basically what it's doing is you have an existing single wide or double wide next to a stick build, got an empty lot, and they're gonna stick a 400 square foot. I would not be very happy. I understand we do need housing, but not this kind of housing. What I would suggest is that the town work with our new superintendent at our school to find out if we can get some kind of variance for water to develop the 45 acres that the school has. Let's not do this because you're gonna get a developer just buying all these empty lots and putting this stuff in there and not gonna take care of it. I understand we do need housing. This is not affordable housing for a family. This is affordable place to stay because we have growth coming. Let's not do this because let the market drive it. Let the market come in. We're just getting started with resolution. Let's not do this as a Band-Aid that's going to leave a scar in our community. I suggest a hard no.
Thank you. Thank you for staying within time. Yes, you did an excellent job.
Still had a minute and 30 seconds.
Okay, yes, you may. I don't know your name. I apologize, but you're welcome to. Please state your name for the record.
Absolutely. Hello, good evening. David Lauer, I live at 140 North Kellner. I have my own problems with my neighbors. So I would go along with not approving this sort of thing unless there was massive research and proof that these sorts of things work in a social, neighborhoodly way. It's questionable who's going to live in them, how many people are going to live in them, who dictates that. If you approve it, then it's just all in, you know, and I don't know what's going to happen. Like I say, I got my own problems, you know, and there's a few of those in town. So with building codes, ordinances, so forth. But no, I wouldn't approve it unless there was a massive study that could be presented to the citizens. After all, we live here, and we're concerned about it. Thank you.
Mr. Lauer, thank you.
Just one more comment.
Yes, because you left 1 minute and 32 seconds.
Not to get up.
No, just hang, you're loud enough, just
I
stay
just
right
wanna,
there.
what the county attorney was here just a minute ago. 65% safe, 50% drop in crime. Good things are happening. This is not a good thing. People are rebuilding and remodeling existing homes and structures. We all know that. Let's let them do, the market will drive that. So let's not change the trend that we're on now with our crime. This comes in, I think like this gentleman says, we have no idea. Just look at our affordable housing on Pinell and Porphyry. That's affordable housing, it's a dump on the front. I think this is what we're asking for. Let's not put this in our overlay. Let them bring in their double wides, let them bring in their single wides. And let's do it that way, because that's a better fit than doing with the park model.
Council questions and comments to staff. I know everybody has a lot of questions, and Todd can answer any questions that we may have.
I have a question. So, is there anywhere where we could put a park melon right now?
So it's RV parks only. So they're allowed. For instance, across from Lone Tree, there's an RV park that's going to be moving forward. It has park models. The RV park over on that is under permitting. There's
the old Taylor's lot. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, not the old Taylor's lot. It's the other one.
The one adjacent that hasn't done a CUP yet.
Yes.
But
there are several in permitting, but they're currently none. So today, nowhere to go in town, nowhere to put it. Our previous engineer did approve 2 in error because she didn't understand the distinction between a park model and a mobile home. So there are at least 2 in town I know of that were installed in error. Nobody's complained about them. They look great, but that doesn't mean. I mean, I'm not making a blanket claim that they're great things. I'm just saying there are people coming to us cannot afford to build a stick house or to buy a full mobile home, so they're pulling RVs onto lots. They're bringing us these park model ideas. They're trying to work around that, and I have no way to in any way facilitate that right now. It's just a hard no. And if that's what the council wants me to do, that's fine. That's what we'll continue.
I guess I'm still not clear. So there is not a place where I can put a park model right now.
Right now there are 2 very small RV parks in town. They're the only place technically you're supposed to be able to.
The RV park.
RV park, yes.
Okay.
You'd have to find an open slot in an RV park. They are an RV. They're not a mobile home.
Okay.
I have some comments. So I share the same concerns everyone else who got up and spoke about them. And you said that planning and zoning was very on the fence about this, so I don't know what the pros and cons were about that, or what disagreements they had, but you're right. People don't know the difference between park models and RVs, and obviously our engineer didn't. We're not filling our engineering position, so we don't have somebody to do that. We're not filling our code enforcement, so there's nobody to enforce any of this that's going to be going on, so we don't have resources to oversee this. And I agree with someone who said, this is a Band-Aid, we're just going to hurry up and do this. It's going to turn into a mining camp, and that's not what we want. So if you're asking me, it's a hard no.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, at this point, I don't feel like there's enough data or have enough information to.
It was
We don't have enough
Yeah.
RV parks and then it has to be a year also that, hey, you can't have a 1968 park model or.
That is in code. That is in code. It has to be, there's a design review, it has to be less than 10 years, it has to pass the design review, it has to be in good shape to get a design review pass. It has to materially match the neighborhood. So to answer your question about planning and zoning, it was a much longer debate than this. It was a 4-3 split. Most of the arguments were what you've heard tonight about property values and safety versus gentrification and letting poorer citizens have affordable housing. Those are the opposing viewpoints, and I'm, again, not making a case for either. I'm just presenting to the council that they're coming.
I feel like once we get all this stuff annexed in and all that, there might be areas where maybe they could make the the small homes or whatever, park models, and there'll be plenty of room at that time, but at this point, we just gotta work on our enforcement, code enforcements and stuff like that.
Anyone else on the council have comments?
This would also, if we did this, allow for a park model at any lot, correct? It's not just specific for certain places?
It's within the overlay. It has to be compatible with the dwellings in the immediate area, so it can't move it into a bunch of McMansions. It has to materially match the neighborhood. There are some guidelines attempting to address these issues. Again, if you don't feel they're sufficient, then you tell me no, we don't do it. But there's a very thorough design review. There's a limit of years. It has to be in good shape. The argument that P&Z they mentioned was, if we don't have good code enforcement, what happens in 10 years? What does this thing look like? So I can't counter that argument, so I won't try to.
I want public comments are over. We've got this. We've got this. It is a public hearing, but I get to. My comment to this, and I've given this a lot of thought. I'm a big proponent of affordable housing. I think we all are. We know that it's very, very expensive. There's a really great project happening right now with BHP and Chicanos per La Causa to build, 12 new homes on the north side of town. That this is an opportunity for people to build their own homes, their own stick-built houses, and get 60% off. I'm very concerned about allowing park models in. We have a lot of vacant lands. I drove down Sonora the other day. I was going to my aunt's, and there's this big, huge lot that's for sale. And I saw, oh my gosh, you could see a bunch of people put all these tiny homes in there. That does not mean, a 400 square foot home does not mean kids. It means no kids in our school. And we've been struggling with that. We've been struggling with youth retention. This does not say, oh, here's a family to move into these houses. I think there's other things we can do with affordable housing. I'm also very concerned that we keep hearing about all these tiny home developments. And we're going to have to deal with those in these larger swaths because of the water issue, because of being in the Phoenix AMA. And I'm very concerned that if we do this, it is going to end up a feeding frenzy that we can't maintain or monitor. I'm not against tiny homes. I'm not against park models. But I also know that we have things coming down the pipeline where they'll be appropriate for park models to exist. And that's how I feel about that. And so I'm going to open it up to any last council debate and somebody make a motion.
I would like to make one more comment too. There are a lot of these sticky wicket issues that we're going to be bringing forward over the next few months. Next month, we're going to be talking about a prohibition of man camps, and we're also going to be bringing back forth what the council asked for, which is a requirement that anything put in an RV park is maintained and in good shape. So both of those items are coming forward. Both of those are much more important based on the environment that we have coming down the pike at us like a freight train. So if any other issues that the council would like me to put on a future agenda or to talk to our planning and zoning administrator about, please do let me know, because now's the time to draft it, not after it's.
And I think that's something, if everybody thinks about it over the weekend, we have our council retreat on Monday, and so maybe those are some things, because that's where we want to talk about what is the rest of the work that we need to be doing. So any further questions, comments, or discussion from council? I'm closing the public hearing now. Do we have a motion? Well, what is your motion? Do you want to decline?
Decline.
Okay. There is a motion to decline. Is that the proper word, Mr. Cooper? Decline? Deny?
Mayor, council members, usually you don't vote in the negative. What you could basically do on this agenda item is request that there's a motion to approve. If there's no motion made, then basically the matter is concluded, it was not approved.
Okay.
Or you could table the matter to a future council date if you wanted to.
No, because then staff has to keep track of that. I think this council's spoken that this isn't something somebody else can bring it up in 5 years if they need to.
Not to approve. My motion is not to approve.
Okay, there is a motion not to approve ordinance.
We have to, you just said that, we gotta make a motion to approve, and then we just don't say.
Okay, so you have to make the motion.
I make a motion.
Okay, hold on. let me get back to procedure here, guys. There is no second to Ms. Councilmember Aguilar's motion to deny this ordinance. So your motion has died, it's dead, it's not going anywhere. Do we have another, is there any further motion or direction from council?
May I?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-203.
Is there a second to ordinance, to this ordinance? I hear no second to the motion, therefore this motion has died. Thank you to our Planning and Zoning Commission for debating this and bringing this forward. But we all have work to do to make sure that we get our ADOS, we can have our water so we can build some homes, and the school has some decisions to start making on marketing their property, so you give some direction, Mr. School Board Member. All right. All right, let's go to call to the public. Is there anybody on paper wishing to? I'm gonna wait for the sheet. And if you're on, you have to wait. If you didn't sign in, then you have to wait. Following the rules.
You're gonna make her get her gavel out.
I never use it, but if you want me to use
No,
it.
don't use it. I got to put my name on the sheet.
Okay, well, you'll have an opportunity. Okay. We have one call to the public, Natalie Becky. And I just want to remind you of 3 minutes.
Yes, I know, and I'm gonna make this real quick.
The vice mayor will be your timekeeper.
Thank you. As you know, I am very against trash and weeds and all the junk that I see. The litter is just horrendous around here. It didn't used to look like that here. I don't mind cutting. My husband and I have taken it upon ourselves. We take care of about 6 houses in our neighborhood. We also take care of the canals, the side streets and stuff like that. But we're getting older. We don't have the place to throw things away. I have asked, not only have I submitted this form for like 6 months to ask for people to come in and cut down the sidewalks, because in our neighborhood, and I'm sorry to the police chief, but we have speeders and they are horrendous. And if you are walking out there, they don't care. They will get within 2 inches of you when you are walking up there. And there's no place to go because there's weeds on the other side. So you have no idea if there's a snake, I don't know, anything in the side. And I'm trying to be as kind as I can. But I have filled these out one after another to ask for help. So we started doing some of it ourselves. But we can't do it if we can't throw it away. We don't have any place to throw it away. We don't have an extra garbage can. I don't mind doing it. The problem is I need some help to places to put it and somebody else to deliver it. I don't have a pickup truck. I don't have something that I can carry it in. But I'd really appreciate some help with this. And I don't know what's happening with Public Works because it's been 3 years now since the side streets of Highland have been cut. They're getting crazy. The sewer leaks. The drain on the, when you're going up the street on the left-hand side is completely blocked by weeds. There's no place for drainage, so it drains into the street and it makes mud. And it's just horrendous. Again, it's been going on for a long time. I don't know what to do. If you guys have any suggestions, I'd be glad to hear them. If you guys have any ideas, I talked to Todd about using weed killer. He says absolutely not. So, I don't know, but there's gotta be something we can do to make it safer for, it's not just me, it's the kids that are playing in the neighborhood too. Someplace safer where the kids can get off the road and not worry about getting bit by a snake or getting hurt by another wild animal. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I hope I was 3 minutes.
Oh, I think you're good. I
Okay.
do want to thank you. I know you and your husband have been really great caretakers of your neighborhood. That is your request. There was some miscommunications on where it was going in the silo, and I believe they're working to address that because there is some critical work. So thank you for bringing that to the council.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Pryor, did I forget anything on that issue? I know you were working on that.
No, I do want to give our Public Works Director a little grace. He is new to the job. He wasn't aware that alley was our responsibility. He will put it on his
I
calendar.
appreciate that a great deal.
Thank you. There's no further people on the, hold on, you have to raise your hand. Mr. Shank raised his hand first. Mr. Shank, would you like to address the council?
Yeah, you don't need the clock.
You're on the clock.
You're on the clock. I'd just like to see when we could get code enforcement. I've had a junkyard next to my house for 12 years, and we've gone through, maybe we're gonna have somebody, we did have somebody, we don't have somebody. And I know we're short of resources, but code enforcement would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for call to the public. Yes, Mr. Gutierrez, you may reach the podium.
Got my timer?
Okay, good.
This is the official one.
Actually, I've been wanting to come up here and say this for a long time. I just haven't had the opportunity. I want to thank the council for all the hard work you've been doing over the years. I know there's been some rollover. Some of you are really old timers now. And I tell you what,
Thanks, we
I
feel
tell you
it.
what, that does make a difference in continuity in our community. Because it's important to have continuity. And I know that there's a lot of work that you guys do behind the scenes that nobody appreciates. Especially when we're dealing with a major mining company, we're dealing with land use changes, all these variables. I want to thank Resolution for working with the town. I want to thank you for the town because it's important, because it bleeds over to our school and the community working group. Without the leadership that we have right here at the dais, we would not be where we're at. We do have a lot of stuff to do, but it's coming. A lot of this stuff is not going to change overnight. But I know they're under a lot of pressure because there's a lot of time, there's a timeline that's starting to clip, especially with the influx of people that are coming. Thank you very much. Thank you, town manager, for doing the diligent work as a wannabe scientist for water and everything else beyond that. And I also want to let everybody know we need to vote for Mila Lira.
No, you're wrong, Hank, wrong last name, Hank. Wrong last name.
Mila, message.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for getting that corrected. With that being said, we'll continue on with our agenda. Last call, anyone else for call to the public? All right, we do have an executive session, but I'm going to go through summary of current events. Councilmember Navarrete?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Councilmember Aguilar?
I feel the same, as Mr. Shanks noted that we need to get code enforcement. It's getting a little bit out of hand that, and maybe we can look into getting volunteers to do code enforcement. I mean, something. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will volunteer just to get something going.
That's a very highly legal situation. I think Todd's thinking of all the lawsuits we'll be getting. Not a bad idea. Mr. Lance?
I don't have anything.
Councilmember Byrd?
I just want to say thank you to all of those that showed up for the Mac Memorial. We had a very successful event, and that helps the Optimist Club continue to provide for the community and continue serving the events that we do.
Vice Mayor Alonso? So a few more highlights. Thank you to the Diamondbacks. We have a brand new, our Little League field, we're one of the oldest Little Leagues in the state of Arizona. It had a brand new remodel, beautiful Diamondbacks. Which is the name of it's the owner, right? It's the owner's field, Kendrick. And it was really great. So it's nice to see those upgrades, but that's just a testament to everybody working together. April is Volunteer Appreciation Month, and our town kind of runs on volunteers in a lot of ways. So thank you to everybody. And with that being said, Mr. Pryor, do you have anything else to add to tonight's meeting?
No, I don't. I think I've tied everybody up long enough.
Okay. And our scheduling of meetings and events, Emergency Services Committee will be on April 16th, 2026 at 6 p.m. p.m. Community Development Committee meeting will be on April 23rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. Planning and Zoning will be on May 7th, 2026 at 6 p.m. And the Town Council meeting will be on May 14th, 2026 at 7 p.m. With this being said, we're going to go back to, we need a motion to go into executive session. And, yeah, how long and who's going in?
Wait, how long do you want?
Yeah.
Minutes?
I don't think we need more than an hour. Okay, so we're gonna need a motion to go into executive session for no more than an hour. And allowed to come into the executive will be the council, our attorney, Mr. Cooper, Mr. Pryor, Ms. Cervantes, and the police chief, if we need to call him in. Correct? That's what this agenda item is about?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we'll probably need a couple of minutes here to readjust before we start our class.
No, I won't. Fair warning to everybody in the room, the camera's still on, so
Yeah.
you're still live.
I won't.
Good to see you, sir.
You gotta work on it as soon as they can get back. It's technical, you can't sign it for
Well, thanks to the resolution, they
Yes, good to see you all. I want to get this done over with, so. Yeah, we got a conversation for this.
It is, yeah, one input on the financial model and, you know, because the utilities are really driving it, so we compete in competitive RFPs for the utilities, and so it, you know, they truly are looking for like, where's the best project for the best price for Arizona customers, so. Yeah, that's
Great. I'll send you the newest one.
nice to meet you.
The expenses were really, the only thing I saw was.
Yeah, just send me a note on it, and I'll add it. But I'll send you the latest pay scale, but that's what's based on, the entry level pay basically. And then every 2 years they go up, and that's why your current guys, they're on scale, so they're going up.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for, the way you expressed it, the P and Z.
Hi, I'm Kelly with Tara, with AES.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Let's see,
We'll get to
on
know each
their
other
end,
more
yeah.
as the project progresses.
Feeds into the.
Yeah.
You guys need to mind seeing me.
Okay, will do.
So I'm trying to.
I did, I went first.
Say, well, you know, look,
Yeah.
hello, congratulations.
Yes, thank
Nice to
you.
see you again.
Yeah, great to see you again.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
How's it going? Manny?
I want to know when you guys are gonna be
Yeah.
the backup for my computer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I understand
that's right.
that there's some, I mean, we're just trying, this is putting juice into the grid that most of needs. I understand that, but then the question is, will APS buy into it? So if the electricity goes down in town, we might have back.
So much.
Yeah.
I know that's all.
Yeah, my understanding is that both SRT and EPS have capacity at the substation that we can connect to. And so it really just depends on, you know, which utility ends up buying the use of
Could
the
they
battery.
end up both using it?
They could, actually, we could split it.
How many kilowatts are we talking about?
Right now, we think that we can fit 100 megawatts on the flat part of the lease area. So, but as.
That's enough to back up my computer.
Yeah, right?
Or it's tough back there, it's a no-brainer.
You know, you can provide use for resolution in my house.
Right, Justin, and your junkyard next door.
And my
too.
junkyard.
Sorry to hear that, that's so frustrating.
Oh, it's,
Just tough
these
legacy
things are,
families.
we're a small town.
Yeah.
He's a very interesting guy and he does some very creative stuff right next to my bedroom. I put in triple pane windows,
Yeah.
but it's,
You're a very gracious neighbor.
no, I'm
Well,
not.
there's also like no recourse right now.
Yeah,
It's
there's-
tough, it's hard.
And it's hard because you're dealing with a community that was in decline for 40 years, right? And so even to get our commercial business owners to say, hey, a page turn, hey, let's start doing X, Y, and Z, never mind just the person that's treading water in their home, right?
As a town, we have not decided whether it's okay to let your dogs run loose.
Oh, well, they've always run loose, that's the issue. It's
I
just
know,
now, it's a problem for some noisy people online, and I'm not advocating for loose dogs either, but there's always been loose dogs. So you're talking about 120 years of trying to change something.
And you know, there is a whole issue. It would be very easy for our town to become a bedroom community to develop. And, I mean, I didn't grow up here, I've lived here 12 years, I wouldn't like to see that happen. But I'm here the traditional way, mine moved me here, and I stayed. But, you know, Todd will tell you, a lot of the houses that have been rehabbed and moved into, they're people my age. And what we need are kids, we need kids with, we need kids.
Families.
Well, it's such a beautiful town.
It just
I mean,
needs to
I love the
be
drive in here.
diverse
Yeah.
housing options.
Yeah, and the whole small, you know, I think of places like in LA and San Francisco, and the idea of putting a 400 square foot house in the back of a large, that's one thing, that's different than what we're looking at here.
Yeah, that's an ADU, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
different than,
But yeah, especially if you have flood situations now, it's just easier to just put something that you don't have that much investment in on a piece of property that you've already got, and it just leave it there, yeah.
But you know, I like, so people talk about, well, we don't want this. To me, I consider the Highlands, which is our mini suburbia, I consider that a blight. I like the fact that my next door neighbor's house doesn't look like mine.
Yeah.
But, you know, and the town's fascinating because which part of town you're talking about, you know when the houses were built.
Yeah.
And as you go kind of that way, they get newer.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see people putting in like Airbnbs?
Yeah, we have a few.
yeah, what's happening is properties are being flipped and
Yeah.
turning into that, but, not at the rate as like Sedona
Yeah.
was experiencing, to the point where it's problematic, where they're
Yeah.
pushing residents out to do that. We haven't seen that yet. The poverty rate's high here, right? So you have generational families that are just treading water. And so what I worry about is that they're gonna get those little postcards and phone calls and they're gonna be offered all kinds of money.
You can get
for their
300 grand for
family
your
home,
house.
But there's nowhere for them to live.
Right.
And then they're gonna be in a bad situation.
Right.
So that's what keeps me up at night sometimes.
And it's,
That.
well, it's happening all over the United States, but like,
Sure.
my house was supposedly, when I bought it, was worth about 130,000, and now it's 300,000. And, yeah, and so what does that do to rentals? So I rented my house for 2 years before I bought it, and I was paying $800 a month. Supposedly, my house would rent for 2,400. That, families here can't pay that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Saw a report today that Phoenix rents have gone down over the
I
last
saw that.
2 years for the first time. And
I
the
saw that.
correlations between housing supply and rent. So you can look at the percentage of housing units in cities across America. And it's, yeah, the ones that are actually building are the ones that are seeing their rent stabilize or go down, which is pretty interesting. to
Well,
see.
then Casa Grande is oversaturated.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, well, that's an
The
interesting.
supply is out of whack.
Yeah, and there's a type of home there too, and the investors can sit on some of those homes. That keeps the housing prices a little bit higher because they're only selling it for a certain price, and then there's other interests there that are pretty fascinating. But yeah, right.
Real estate's crazy.
Yeah.
And then mortgage rates are insane, so like what you could afford, you know.
You know, my
5
whole
years
life, I
ago,
lived
yeah.
in Central and South America, and my job included housing. So the first house I ever bought, the only house I've ever bought is here. And I just happened to luck out. I mean, I got a 15-year loan at 3.5%.
Yeah, that's not the reality.
3.5, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. In 2020, they were like 2.5 or 2.9%.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's not that.
Well,
I can't move.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, what you're
Like,
saying
yeah,
is what
kind of stuff
all
we're
sorts
not
of
doing.
people are saying. You have families that would like to move, but it's just not.
Yeah, or even moving for a job somewhere. It's like,
And
well, why
where
would
and
we
how
take
and
jobs? Yeah.
all the things.
Right.
It'll be an interesting 5 years.
Yeah. Well, good talking to you,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
This is here. Yeah.
Good to see you.
One
Good
quick
to see you
question.
again.
Best case scenario, how soon would you actually start building stuff? Because I hear the 5 years and I'm going, I ain't gonna be alive by the time you get this going.
Because what's the process right now? It's site development.
Yeah, right now it'll be surveys, permitting, and then we will enter into one of the competitive RFP processes with the utilities. And then SRP does it because it's their substation that, you know, they basically incentivize developers to be commercially selected before we enter an interconnection process. And so then they have to study it and then tell us how long it takes for them to do their construction to get online. So
What you're telling me
yeah.
is, everything I read is every time you build a wind farm or something, it's not the construction of the actual thing, it's getting it hooked up.
Not for us. So yeah, for renewable energy, it's definitely interconnection and just, you know, kind of those initial development timelines and getting bought and actually getting the build. Because, you know, our supply chain isn't, you know, we don't have gas turbines that are 6-7 years, you know, behind with like very limited, you know, spots anyway. So yeah, our biggest supply chain issue is transformers, and our company buys those ahead of time because we know we're gonna build a certain number of
I mean,
projects.
you even look at residential and small commercial, trying to get an electric panel right now, it's not easy, though, and they're
That's
expensive.
6 months away from my house. Yes.
Yeah.
For a 250, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was my other way I lucked out. My house already has 200 in it. And then this town has, some people still have screw-in fuses.
Oh, yeah.
And all the, I own one of the historic buildings, and the electrical was all upgraded before I bought it.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what a great thing that was until
Yeah.
now I go, oh my God, this would have been such a hit.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
thank
safe
you.
travels.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks
for
so
being
much.
here.
You bet.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want you to know I was very.
Thank you, Chief. Take care.
I don't believe you then.
I was gonna ask our district attorney, what percentage of resources we dedicate to supporting this? Well, he took a lot of shit for that, didn't he? Because he had to have approval to do that, he didn't.
He's at war with the county supervisors right now.
That, over that.
Yep, the two, the ice agreements.
And what, they're both saying, no, I get to decide.
No, I think it's back and forth. I think it's just, some of this is PR, outreach.
Well, you know, Florence's business is basically incarceration.
Yeah. No.
All right. Well, do you buy his, what is interesting is the town's not real happy with the procedure.
Well, I think that the trend lines are the trend lines, so, you know, we have to have data, right? Data needs to drive a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's important, but I also wonder,
Well, it's
like, who,
Is it 2023 or do you want to go to 2019?
Yeah, but if you look at trend lines, again, it's, crime is trending down everywhere, right? So I think we're just representative of that. And there's a difference between data and how people feel about the community. So that's why it's good to have not just how many arrests and how many convictions, but not talking to people. Okay,
Yeah.
what is your thought on
Yeah, well, no,
how you feel about
you feel
your
safe.
community? Yeah. So I don't know. It's no.
All right, I plan on coming out to the thing tomorrow.
Okay, we'll see you.
Yeah,
We're gonna have about 70.
oh, that's great,
Yeah, we're gonna give out some awards to some volunteers and
Good.
stuff. So.
good. Hey, you know, I went over there a couple of days, those guys work really hard.
Yeah, and they've got a good volunteer culture now. You know,
They have good morale.
yeah, let's pitch in, there's no griping, and if there is, it's addressed, like, we have worked very hard to improve the volunteers' experience over there.
Doing this is good.
Yeah, we didn't do one last year, so I kind of insisted that, and for a couple of reasons, but, I said, okay, we're not doing it this year, we are absolutely doing it next year, so that's how it's turned to this.
Is this gonna be down in Picnic area? I'll see you there.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
I get out the door.
Hi, this is Manuel Guzman returning a phone call. It was a detective, I didn't catch the name in the voicemail, but there was an arrest with my information being used, possibly. Manuel, Manuel, Guzman, Guzman. Okay, thank you. Hello, this is Manuel Guzman. I did. Yeah, go ahead. That's me. Mhm. I haven't, and I monitor my credit regularly. Okay? Does it have a license number? Uh, oh yeah, that's mine. Yes. It's 6. Yes, 6 foot. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I'll look at the credit bureau, but I haven't had any weird things happen. Nobody's opened anything in my name. Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know either. So, I guess I could request a different driver's license number from DMV here? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I would like a copy anyways. It's my first initial last name, so MGUZMAN, the number 5, at MSN.com. Does it have the Roman numeral 5 at the end of my name too? Yeah. Okay, so that, you know, I have a Roman numeral 5 on the bit, and it's even on my official, you know, documents. So, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, 8/14/2024 was the issue date of my current license. Oh, you know what? That was my address when I was 17. I lived with my cousin. Huh. That was in 1999. Wow. Sure. Okay, yeah, if you could send me a copy of the police report, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. All right, thank you. No problem, thank you. Chief. Great.
So we're talking about you know that the Smith lady actually sued us. She filed a suit against us. Jellison's gonna sign. They'll probably be reaching out to you.
He is dedicated. Thank you for staying with Mayor tonight. Appreciate it.
Nobody likes a long prayer.
No, no, we used to have a lot of long ones, but
Yeah, we're done, they're gonna.
they're much more.
Thanks.
Oh, Todd, did you already turn the YouTube back on?
It stayed on the whole time? Like-
Oh, okay, wow. Oh, fun.
Man, what we do?
We have a couple private conversations.
Oh, goodness,
I did tell
okay.
everybody before I left, the camera stays on, so watch P's and Q's.
Oh, whoops. Okay, so I would need a motion to return to regular session.
So
The motion by Councilmember Byrd, give a second. Second by Vice Mayor Alonso, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Back into regular session. Do we have any action on items A or B? Nope, no action. So we're gonna move, this motion to adjourn. The motion by Councilmember Byrd, give a second. Second by Councilmember Navarrete, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Yes, we have our retreat on.